And here we go. Do we start? Yes, we do. Welcome, and welcome to the one and only Goat Academy Backstage Esports Episode 4. I'm Nadim, and to my side, Jamil. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Multiverse games. It's literally a multiverse of experiences for you guys. If you're into TCGs, they got that. If you're into board games, they got that. If you're into D&D, they got that. They have a multitude of experiences for you guys. So whatever suits your fancy, you're bound to find it here. So if you're in the Hamra area in Beirut, come swing by and check them out. Or check out their Instagram and Facebook pages for more info. Now we have Mark from Overworld Studios with us here today, and we're excited to have him.
Absolutely. Technicality issue.
Oh, nice. Hello. Nice effects, honestly. Like the sparks and the smoke.
Shiny. Fits the dragon for sure.
Yeah.
But we do have some minor technical issues. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. There is some technicality problems. And here.
Can you hear us, Mark? I don't think you can hear. Oh yeah, Mark, we can't hear you. Everyone, remember to stay hydrated.
We're not in the desert, thank you very much.
Right. Actually, winter.
Snow.
Can you hear us? And also, like, for the stream, is everyone hearing us okay? Let us know in the chat. Just to make sure that like everything is good. Like we're also reaching Mark.
Apparently,
in the meantime, let's discuss if you want.
Problem is, we can't hear. He can't hear us.
But we have some really cool effects for entertainment.
Yeah,
like look at that smoke and those sparkles and those cute octopus.
Octopus. Oh, okay.
Octopi.
Okay, okay. Adorable. Let me say. I don't know about the smoke though. How does an octopus work with a smoke?
Yeah.
But hey, okay, the dragon, okay.
It's a dragon.
Okay.
And then you need to balance out the badassery of the dragon with some cuteness. And,
right. And scary dragon,
yeah.
Cute octopus.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Exactly. Exactly.
We still have some bizarre technical issues. Technology has truly failed us this day.
2020.
And still having technology issues.
That's okay. It's okay. So, like, just to have a fun discussion in the meantime while the technical issues are being fixed. What, if you want to discuss this in the chat with us, what are some of your favorite games? What are some tournaments you're excited about? For example, I'm personally excited for the LEC, League European Championship. This is starting in mid-January, January 14th, if I'm not mistaken. So it's going to be lit. You know why? Because there's a new team on board. I always forget their name, but they remind me of the K-pop band. Wow, drawing a blank here. But anyways, wow. But there are some teams that have developed their roster and they look very exciting. Like for example, Fnatic team, like like a good team for the year. Um, this new team that I can't for the life of me remember the name, because they got the coach from G2, and he's really good. Um, we also have, for example, Mad Lions have let go some of their rosters, so I want to see how they're gonna perform while they lost their AD carry, for example, who would be the main damage dealer. Rogue also, who was a top contender, lost their AD carry, so this is gonna be interesting. But the top team that I'm seriously looking forward to seeing how they play, how they perform, is Team Vitality. Like they have a budget, okay? Like they they onboarded a lot of good players, and they have a really solid roster for the year, and they have a really solid coach as well. So it's going to be very exciting to see them. Last year they finished, if I'm not mistaken, fourth in the quarterfinals, in the semifinals fourth. So it's going to be honestly very exciting to see what they can do this year, especially with some teams losing major key players from their roster. It's going to be very interesting. What are your thoughts on this? Anyone here watches the LEC? Watch any other tournament like Call of Duty, Dota, anything? Let us know.
They keep going off and on.
There we go.
Here we go. We hear you.
Okay, so you can hear us.
Yeah,
Loud and clear. All is
Loud and
fixed.
clear.
Thank heavens.
If you didn't hear the comment, these are some awesome effects in the background, by the way. Like seriously.
Okay, thank you. Well, we're a broadcast studio, so they should be okay.
I don't
How
mind.
are you today?
Great,
Awesome.
great, lovely. I'm actually loving these octopuses. Look how adorable they are. Like, look at them.
They get angry as well, so turn them inside out, and they have a.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So depending on our vibe and our feelings, we have happy and we have sad.
That's actually remarkable.
This is the game face that you have to make for the tournament today. Like I heard that. Yeah.
That's what it is. Poker face.
Yeah, sure, poker faces.
Well,
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
well,
We
thank
love
you for
having you.
joining. It's great to have you here. Let's start. I mean, every superhero has an origin story. What is Overworld's origin story?
Well, our origin story stems from my son, who is Nitro Luke Dx. Nitro Luke DX probably is still right up there of being one of the biggest Facebook live streamers currently playing Call of Duty. So Luke has a following of 824,000 people that follow Luke. YouTube, he has just over 1 million subscribers. And it all started because we had to get Luke out of his bedroom.
Mhm.
And it was really, really important to actually start to formulate a business plan in and around. So one of the mistakes that is made within, I would say, within the streaming community, certainly at the beginning from within the YouTube community, is it's very insular. So you're stuck in your bedroom, you have no one to talk to, and it actually can be quite damaging to your mental health. So we decided to do something about it. We recognized that esports was going to be really big. And we just decided to put a framework and do almost a 1 to 10 step plan on how to improve what we were delivering. So we've jumped from having a small, tiny studio to having a wonderful broadcast center.
So the idea, so basically Luke was the inspiration key for you to start this whole project, and basically it's all for him and for other people of similar conditions, I suppose.
That's correct. One of the things that we battled with at the beginning as parents was Luke was what we call statemented for autism. So Luke didn't necessarily fit into the educational program that the UK offers. So when gaming, really started to grow, Luke's propensity to flock towards that escapism, if you could call it that. I don't really like using that because I think he wasn't trying to escape from anything. He was just trying to prove where his mindset sat. And he was happier whilst playing games, and he played it with such vigor
Mhm.
and hand-to-eye coordination, as it were. He could do things at a very, very young age. He could complete games that would take weeks. In fact, Luke could complete them in hours sometimes.
Nice. So speed running.
Yeah, he has a photographic memory.
Wow.
Individuals with autism usually have something that is, well, we all, not usually, take that word away. They all have something that is unique. And gaming is something that really allows people to flourish from within the, certainly if they're on the spectrum.
True. It's because it's a creative experience. It allows you to express yourself in your own way, in your play style, and your especially in your especially in your play style.
Mhm.
Like
you know, like games are a chaotic collection of,
Exactly.
say, for example, mysterious mannerisms, facial expressions, voice fluctuations, gestures,
Mhm.
emotions, and they need to be unraveled and meticulously understood.
True.
And as soon as we start to understand that those elements are within gaming, then we have something that's really truly wonderful.
Especially
We can champion that.
True. Especially that I'm not talking here about competitive games, I'm talking about games in general.
Sure.
Like you have studios that actually put in the time and the effort to nail the expressions, for example, because it's also it's a form of acting. So you have things high end like mocap, and you have things on the low end like just from dialogue and how they get through to you with the tone and the way they write the script and the dialogue also helps convey the message. It's all a way to deliver this information, and it's all through layers, like through several layers of it. Like there's an entire engine for facial expressions. We know that experience from Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Well, it's how we interact as human beings.
True.
So
Exactly.
it's very important. And when we look at autism can it's very difficult sometimes to interact with each other. You know, you have what's called individuals can be socially awkward at times, so they're not really going to be reading the room very well, but they read games superbly. And what we have to teach sometimes is that losing's okay. It's not something that you have to enjoy, but it's something that we're going to endure. So we're going to lose and we're going to fail throughout life. You know,
Such as life, yeah.
That's the deal,
Mhm.
unfortunately. And what we do at Overworld is we also, create mainstream. We work very, very tirelessly within creating tournaments, certainly from a community based, having that platform where people can just play, that enjoy playing. Professional esports needs a hell of a lot more regulation to be brought into it. It needs to allow others to become, it's very exclusive. And the problem with sport is that it's exclusive and not inclusive.
True.
We want to include everybody. And one of the things that we can do within the gaming community is include everybody.
Exactly.
And it doesn't matter, so we are motivated to create equal opportunity and improve the outcomes.
Yeah, because there's no real limitation if you think about it. I'm talking about esports specifically from the competitive side. Like in sports, there could be limitations, but here, like everyone can compete, everyone can learn the game, everyone can perform in their own way as well. Like there's no, it's like a low barrier to entry in a way that for that to some extent.
Oh no, absolutely. And when we created Overworld, we've moved from 7 years ago. We started this journey, but we actively wanted to create a bespoke, state-of-the-art facility that would engage all. But especially what we call in the UK is, send individuals, and the autistic guys, they don't like this title of special education needs and disabilities. They
It's a label.
just
True.
call me autistic. You know, all of these diagnoses, you know, we're trying to explain to certain kids that, yeah, you have pathological demand avoidance, you know, but they're 9.
Mm.
They're
I
not
mean,
going to understand pathological demand avoidance. They just want to understand how to rinse someone at Fortnite, as it were.
yeah, I mean, cut the science stuff. Just teach us how to shoot and have fun in the games.
Absolutely. So we create mentors from within that gaming setting, and we're able to teach because there's that reward principle. You see, is if you sort of work hard in this sector,
Yeah, it bleeds
you
over
get the
into the
rewards
life,
of
into the
playing
daily life.
games,
Yeah,
absolutely. You know,
like it's a good life lesson as well. Like you said, with the part of losing and with the part of like how can you excel, and it's a good, it's like a safe space to learn about yourself as well and how to like learn these new skills.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like if you try to understand, you know, the complexities of social interaction,
Yeah.
for example. Okay, you've got to learn to converse, overcome the fear of failure, lacking in self-confidence, and games, irrespective of just e-sport,
Yeah, yeah,
games are an integral part of social development.
they do.
And we've got something big that's happening here, and it's not quite mainstream as of such. And we're not concentrating in the right areas. So we've got, you know, all of the revenue that's usually generated from live streaming to esports to gaming is advertising revenue, for example.
True, true. Like most
The
of it is.
advertisers are still talking very generically from TV. Who watches TV anymore?
Yeah,
You know,
I know.
none of the kids I know watch TV. It's just mental. So they've got to learn the language. They've got to learn the language of the new, you know, realm. And what we do is we listen. You know, I mean, I'm old. It's one of those scenarios. You know, I'm probably, you know, really apart from Luke pulling me through, I would have been one of those generic individuals that thought maybe the way we advertise was we put a poster up or we put a leaflet through someone's door. You know, to utilize social media for positive reflection is something that we should work on. We've got a different. We've got a different society. People think differently, and because people think differently, we become frightened of that. So we push it back.
Anything that changes the status quo is seen as different, and it's scary, and like we have a fear. Humans generally have a fear of change, and it's normal because this is our survival mechanism.
And they react hostile to it, sadly.
Yeah. But like, for example, if we're talking about advertising, the future of advertising could look like augmented reality, for example. That is in the next 5 years, 10 years. That's going to be scary to people listening to it right now. Like if you see advertisements everywhere through your glasses or your phone or whatever, it's not just only solely on your phone, for example, or on billboards. It's going to be plastered everywhere. That's going to be such a dystopian future for some people.
Yeah, we've got to cut through,
Exactly.
You know, just because someone tells us on social media that this is the way it is.
Exactly.
You know, doesn't necessarily mean
it's usually not the worst case scenario nor the best case scenario. It's somewhere in between, which is a happy middle for everyone. That's what I noticed.
Well, it's a balance, isn't it? So
exactly.
If we can strike a balance, so it's, for example, like parents report, you know, that kids affected with autism can be sort of so focused on video gameplay that they refuse to do any other activity, as it were.
Because it's engaging.
What we do is we work with parents, we create workshops as well, so we can sort of address the balance of reward and, of course, expectation. And I'm an ex-teacher, and I would have loved gaming to have been
integrated
in schools from when I was teaching, because if we have children that are really, really focused and interesting in something, it makes your life so much easier.
Exactly.
To educate.
Because it's engaging.
So much easier.
It's an immersive and engaging experience. Would you like to?
Yeah, here's something that strikes me as interesting. Even now, society still has an issue when it comes to trying to grasp autism. I've read a lot of stories where a lot of children who have autism have difficulties being accepted in school. And the school system doesn't even dedicate enough time to educate people about autism. They may pinch it as a catchphrase or something, but they don't dedicate their time to try to teach people and society about autism so they can, bring things together and make people who have autism feel like they belong there. So the thing about the video games, it's like, despite I know you hate the idea of it being escape, but the reality is it is indirect an escape because they don't have to deal with what they deal with in school, and that's the main issue. School, they have a hard time with belonging. They have a hard time with being understood. So they go to this another realm of virtual reality, which is video games. And they can socialize. I mean, they don't have to fully socialize like they do in real life. They can just type a text freely or talk a few words like they do in MMO games. So that's the beauty about companies such as Overworld. It's like to teach society how to be accepting to this whole thing. But what kind of methods would you do to teach society and to teach people to start learning more about autism so they can be more tolerant to it and more understanding to it?
Well, what we've got is we know that video games provide kids that are affected with autism an opportunity for joint attention and shared interest with peers. So it's bringing them together. So you have that community aspect that's delivered. Uh, just jumping back to it's just changing the vocabulary slightly because one of the things, say for example, with mental health, and that comes in place with anxiety that's built within autism,
Mm.
for example, is we never want to run away and use the exit strategy, of always removing yourself from a difficult situation. So if we have so many individuals using games as escapism, then we're not addressing the problem
Mm.
of why and what are they escaping from. And if they're trying to escape from something, then it's often fear.
True.
And why should we be frightened in any society, as it were? So games is bringing us, as we are right now, to open up dialogue
Mm.
and have a discussion. So we've then created what's like an incubation center. We nurture. We're able to do that. Nurture from people and individuals that are as young as 7, really, tends to be what we get in overall, all the way up to where we employ. We have a lot of 16 to 24-year-olds very interested in the industry that come through and do work experience. They do supported internships. We've generated the Kickstart scheme, and we have apprentices at Overworld. Now, the incubation center enables self-worth determined entrepreneurs
Mm.
that can grow and flourish. Uh, we link community, we enable to them to build friendships and then create positive memories. So if we create positive memories, we don't have anything to escape from.
Yeah.
And without memories, why are we even here?
Exactly.
As it were,
So basically, what you guys are doing is like you're giving them a helping hand. So when they face society, they're not being labeled or they're not being misunderstood. They're actually being accepted. So there's nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing that we also teach them that it's society's problem
Mhm.
if they don't agree with the
Exactly.
way that they are. It's not their problem. If someone really doesn't like me,
Too bad for them.
Exactly.
there's plenty of people that would be queuing up with that aspect. But it's their problem. It's their problem. Like we've run a few things. We ran a project which was game over for sexism,
Mm.
and we were many interesting conversations, especially with female gamers were coming through, and it was the same story. The same thing was reoccurring. But with some of the advice that we can do, because we're trying to build that therapeutic aspect to Overworld, that we give you the support network that's required. And it is getting individuals to understand that it is their problem if they really don't like you. It's
true.
their problem
Mhm.
if they have a negative aspect on you.
Because it comes from a place of like self-confidence and
Mhm.
self-love.
100%.
that I know who I am and I know myself and I'm confident with myself, you know, like as long as you're not hurting anyone, you know.
Peace, please.
It's and we also need to stand up for ourselves.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know, it's really really important. We can all do the humility. We're stuck, aren't we? We're stuck in a fearful place at the moment of where freedom of speech you can be hammered for a little bit. You know there's a lot of things that shouldn't be said that have been said in the past, but we shouldn't ever just park it. We need to
revisit it because it's a cultural change. That in of itself shows cultural change.
Yeah.
And it's being looked at from a negative lens of, oh, look at what that person said 5 years ago. People change like in a month or in a year there could be this one singular experience that can shift your perspective. It happens. Like,
and how often do we change our perspective? You know,
depends on the person, but yeah.
Yeah, but then it becomes, you know, narcissistic if they're not
exactly. But a lot of people are open-minded and they can be accepting of different mindsets.
We lose it as what's called windows and mirrors.
Yeah.
So a lot of autistic individuals look through windows. They don't have the ability to look and reflect upon themselves and be self-analytical. So if all we're ever going to do is just look through windows, as it were, then we'll never change anything because it is only your way and the way that you see the world. But we do need to see the world inward sometimes. And we're able to teach that. And we're able to teach this all through gaming because we have gaming here, we don't get the adverse behavior. We've got a lot of children that are with it at the moment, which is called EOTIS, which is basically education outside of schooling. So no schooling will take these individuals on.
Okay.
They come into Overworld, and we've got teachers that have different levels of training with understanding, but we don't see that type of behavior, and we don't see it because they're in a place where they go, wow, you've got computers, you know, but we have to have the top computers. So,
of course.
And that's what's difficult for us as a company. We don't get any support financially. Nitro Luke, all of his stars that he generates from Facebook Live fund all of the special ed schooling
programs.
And, you know, that's difficult for it to always continue because, of course, the charity of people will always wane depending on the situation.
True.
Something that we have to keep doing because the amount of staff that we have still need pay and still need training.
Of course, there's a lot of running costs going on in the background, and you will also need to always you need to do new things. You want to expand. You want to integrate a new program. That's all going to be, sadly, things cost money.
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 Yeah.
So, you know, like for us, we're always looking to be able to allocate different levels of how we improve, and that will unfortunately always be
that's
around funding. Always.
It's the thing about these things is that they require baby steps. I mean, before people were completely negative towards any sort of condition, Alzheimer perhaps, or every kind of condition, people were mostly negative. But now, since there's this whole socializing thing, there's this whole internet connecting to the world, people are starting to learn bit by bit about every sort of, conditions and everything. Despite it taking time, longer than it should, because people should be more aware about it, a lot of people are starting, similar causes like starting a coffee shop for autism, or doing special centers to train them to do careers and all that. And of course yourselves for the video game aspects and the esport thing. Little by little it takes time, but is society willing to progress and starting to be more accepting? That's the key, because the education system is very slow with the acceptance part, and they're not willing to evolve. They're not willing to start putting phases to accept these people yet. And as well, society is not willing to follow up. But companies and ideas such as yourselves are helping. But the key is society. That's the main key, because the more society becomes acceptance, the more it's easier for everyone to coexist together and be tolerant and accepting. And that's the key element in the end.
How could anyone disagree with that? You know, it's to try and change society will always be based on education,
Exactly.
as it were. You know,
It's
we're forever trying to educate. I learn daily. We've got some phenomenal success stories, and it's about listening to people that perhaps don't usually have a voice. So most of the individuals that we have that are at Overworld that come through from work experience to supported internships, they've been the kids that sit at the back of the classroom, as it were. Their behaviour isn't adverse or inappropriate, so they're a little forgotten, as it were. And as soon as we've got one guy that's been with us for 7 years now, and he didn't really speak. On his what we call an EHCP, which is educational healthcare plans, get placed together with people that have been statemented for autism. And on Oscar's ward, it was basically that he had problems within speaking and interacting with people. Put a headset on him and put him in a game of Fortnite, and he has no problem interacting and speaking with people. But that had never been explored at school.
I want to touch base on that.
Case, you know, that they diagnosed him as
like
non-speech.
Yeah, it was like a premature diagnosis, if you will. Yeah, like they didn't. Correct. It's like telling a fish to fly in a way. You know, like it's not in a favorable situation, or like this is, people need to find themselves, and this is a good way for people to find themselves. I want to touch base on the mirrors and windows idea, because I'm curious about this. You said that we need to self-reflect. Do individuals with autism self-reflect through the staff? You mean like they teach them techniques, or is it they get to self-reflect through people, like they give them genuine feedback and that builds their perception of themselves? Or how is it like?
So we build up from say, for example, a clinical psychology perspective will be to how do we improve, how do we set goals within ourselves, and we have to do that from a degree of honesty. So if we're honest with ourselves, and trust me, autism is used as an excuse quite a lot of the time for inappropriate behavior, but it's as simple sometimes as making your bed in the morning. Is when you get up, you make your bed. What would you improve about your bedroom? You know, you got to think we're talking to kids here. So and you can have anything that you want to improve in your bedroom. What would you do? And you know, it'll be, oh, can I have a TV? Well, yeah, of course you can have a TV. Of course you can have, you know, in-game sound. I'd love a computer with a 3090. You can have whatever you like, but it's how do you get it?
True.
So we have to put those goals in place, and we work on an improvement of 1% per day. That's all, just 1%.
Nice.
So when we have sort of lower expectations, you know, you get told to reach for the moon, you can be anything that you want to be. Hogwash. Yeah, not true. Stop filling individuals with things that are, you know, unachievable, because that creates a failure response mechanism.
False motivation.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can't reach for the moon. You know, it's just not going to happen. It's
incremental.
Yeah, let's be honest. Let's be realistic.
Exactly.
Yeah? Let's look at the problem. Let's assess the problem, and let's see what the correct solution is. And if we improve, these individuals, and myself included, by the way, I need drastic improvement.
This is a life skill. This is a life skill for anyone.
It's honestly a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle philosophy.
Exactly.
So 1% per day.
Every day.
Imagine improving 1% a day, and you are determined and disciplined to do that for a year. You're going to be really good at something.
Exactly.
If you decided to improve 1%.
There are rules around this that people talk about. Like, for example, if you study like 30 hours or like there's a certain number, for example. One example that I find myself reflecting on, this I came up with through my journey with self-discipline, is that it's like a mountain. And each day you take a step, and then without looking, they tell you don't look down. So you don't look down, you just focus. Head just head down, do your work, you do what you need to do every single day, and then when you look back, you see how far you've come, and then that's where the whole motivation also comes from, because you know you've done it. You've already did this part. Now you can also look up and see where you want to reach, and you can start planning and then reach those goals as well. And it also builds a habit. True. And it's
schedule your day.
It's all about habits as well. Like we rely on our habits and on our it's a mindset and it's a habit. Things become innate at some point. Like when you do something for a month, when you kind of force yourself, kind of like, you know, a cheesy example, like you want to work out. You force yourself to do the first workout and it's really tough and it sucks, but you do that. And then after a month, it gets a bit easier. After like a month and a half or so, you start regretting not actually doing that workout. You start liking it. And then it becomes innate. Like it's just like breathing. I have out at this hour, for example, I have to do this. I want to do it, becomes an I want to rather than I have to, which comes from a place of, you know, you're passionate about
enjoyment.
This. Yeah, which fuels creativity, and it's just a whole flow of a thought process. Exactly.
Let's have some fun.
Exactly.
Yeah, let's smile a bit more.
Yeah.
It's good. And life's rubbish. You know, we know that. It throws some, you know, it's hard. Life's hard.
Really?
And
Really
you know, it's not all roses and unicorns, and it never will be.
Yeah.
And you know, kids need to be kids. They need to enjoy being kids. They don't need to grow up too quickly at all. It won't inhibit their educational progress all the way through life.
Actually, you should
create opportunity.
Yeah, and you should be able to have fun with what you do throughout life.
Great fun.
Like you
Absolutely.
should stay, at least to some extent, as a kid, a little bit. You should maintain that element because you'll have curiosity or creativity, a passion towards things. You're not just doing things for the sake of doing them, you know, because that doesn't fuel anything. You know? It might give you a paycheck, but nothing other than that.
Yeah, let them mature at their own pace. I mean, it's like they throw us at school and they expect us to be aces from the first day in school. I mean, come on, people, slow down.
I wish.
Come
No.
on. Come on.
But they take the foot off the pedal here. So say, for example, your school is push. Failure, success, failure, success, failure, success. You get to 16 and then you go to college. And now you go to college, you only have to do 12 hours. You've been doing 25 hours in school, 25 to 30 hours. You want to include homework. So big stresses when you're young. Then you have to go, you still have to stay in education until you're 16, you know, from 16 to 18. Yes, there's certain loopholes where you can get out of it. But there's the problem is, if you're going to have it up to secondary school where they are push, then you take off the foot off the pedal at probably your most influential time between 16 and 18, you know, and then we pop off to university. Just go to university if you're smart. Yeah? if you're smart and you're an academic, university's for you. Yeah. But if you want to learn how to be a videographer or an editor or you know, for example, a producer, a director, etc., you're far better working with people.
Exactly.
From within the industry.
Yeah, you learn by doing more than by a textbook. Doesn't teach these things. It does to a certain extent.
Theory.
But like, yeah, the theory is important. Like, for example, music has music theory. So you will have to learn these. Okay, there are some notable artists that have been self-taught and they play music by ear. Of course, there are these examples. But generally, you also there's a science behind everything. You have to learn, and then it's mostly application. This is why some organizations or some people are just saying we don't need, like, you just need to get the experience. You don't need the degree, which is a little bit extreme sometimes, but I get where that's coming from, you know, especially with the things that are artistic or the things that require, it's not something that's purely scientific, for example. It's something that requires creativity, and you get more creative by doing.
No, I agree. I couldn't agree more. I do agree with you there.
That's the flaw with this the schooling system. It doesn't teach you something physically. It just teaches you based on like an imaginary story. It's like, okay, this story happened, that's it. The end. You know, tomorrow we have an exam, write an exam, memorize that stuff, and, you know, copy paste and get a A+. That's it. The end. But the person who does that doesn't learn anything. It's just like copy paste what somebody else experienced, but my experience is not the same. I mean, I can't evaluate myself according to some writer 200 years ago who experienced something differently. I mean, come on. It's a different generation, different mindset, different abilities. And sadly, the school system doesn't want to evolve. It's still following the prehistoric pace, let's call it that.
Okay.
And it doesn't want to advance. They still, rocks and stones, and that's it. They don't want to advance. And that's the issue with everything. It's not advancing. Even in our case, to me, school was a nightmare. I hated education. I didn't want to study. I reached university. I was literally pushed to enjoy. I was literally enjoyed because I'm not studying every subject: mathematics, science, social science, geography. I don't need to memorize all this stuff. I mean, if I'm going to work as an accountant, what is geography going to do for me? I mean, it's just extra knowledge, nothing fancy. But you see, they don't give you the choice to learn.
Yeah.
They throw it in your face and, just memorize everything, be an A+ student, and we'll be proud of you. Get less grades and we'll be disappointed. No encouragement, no motivation, nothing, zilch.
It's more like fear. And I think I want to touch also, I want to add that when you talked about letting your foot off the pedal, there is a void there. For example, 24 hours a day, you have let's say 16 hours a day dedicated, or it's a huge time dedicated to education, homework within that space. When you're done, you don't spend as much in education. It's good. Most students, myself included, don't or didn't realize that you have to pursue extracurriculars, that you get to enrich yourself, your knowledge, your personality by doing new things, because we just take the courses and we do it because that's what we've been indoctrinated, to do. But doing things that are immersive are a great thing even to do as extracurricular. I want to study, and for example, I do night courses for a thing that I'm passionate about. For example, I've always wanted to do 3D modeling for digital assets, these things and characters in Blender that they do, for example. I can do that on my own time, sure, and I can take courses on that by doing. And that's engaging. But also it's good to let people choose their own path, which
is a must.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's a huge tangent we went on, yeah.
To the education, only briefly. So we have a group of guys that are employed at Overworld, all autistic. They were not allowed to pursue further education because, of course, they didn't have their maths and their English.
Oh.
Yeah, they were basically level 2. So they were able to level 2 life skills, which basically is you can catch a bus and you can leave a voicemail message. That's going to really help them in life. Now, these guys are now producing our NFTs.
Nice.
These guys are producing NFTs by using Blender. These guys ray trace. These guys don't just use Minimator. And they've learnt it all from YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
They are superb. Oh, they need enhancing. They need nurture. They need direction. They need this. But look at what they've done. They didn't tap in to their brilliance. Imagine if they'd have tapped into their brilliance when they were 10 years old.
Exactly.
As it were.
Exactly.
Because the tech was there.
Definitely, Blender was there.
There you go.
That software was there.
They're using Blender right now. They don't necessarily understand NFTs.
It's okay.
I don't understand.
We can have a whole episode on NFTs. I can explain all of that stuff. Don't worry about it.
My son's blowing my brain up.
If you want, we can do 5 minutes.
Guide us, please.
Okay.
We've just bought some sand on the metaverse. We bought some land.
Oh, nice. And within Sandbox?
Yes.
Nice. Because Sandbox is blowing up right now. It has a lot of plots of land for sale. You can see a lot of Atari. Atari bought a lot of that.
Yeah,
you have a lot of businesses.
As well.
Yeah, exactly. So NFTs basically are issued digital. They could be digital assets. For example, stuff that you get in game, like a Fortnite skin, could be an NFT, and you can also it could be an image that you create. Photography, people are making music. It can be almost anything. People are selling billboards, the land you bought as an NFT. People are making documents. Declaration of Independence, I think, was almost sold as an NFT. So like anything can be an NFT within the digital space, and that is a unique item with a unique identity ID. Like it's like owning one of those, like a collectible car, for example, if we're going to use an example like that. So when you own that, this unique item with the unique ID gets transferred to you, and you are the sole owner of it. This gives you value because it's unique, it's in demand, and you cannot replicate it. This is what gives it value. Now it's up to you, how do you want to use it? A lot of NFTs have services tied to them. A lot of them can be also utilized to generate revenue, like the land that you bought. You can either rent it out, you can advertise on it, you can put your own digital assets and sell those. You can do whatever you want in that space. You can host your tournaments on that space. For example, it's a huge creative world.
It's endless.
It's an endless world.
I didn't know we could do the tournaments on there.
People are streaming. Like people do generally stream speeches, lessons, education, esports, and sports within that space as well. So there's a company called Wave that does concerts, for example. So within that metaverse space as well. So there is a huge room for creativity in that space. And I'm glad that you're a part of it. Like you can definitely make an impact there.
Definitely a part of it, and that was, of course, because Luke, has gone. We got to get this. We got to get this. We got to do this. This is, and because, of course, we have the guys that work, exclusively with Blender.
Yeah,
we're able
digital assets.
To work
so you can issue
that.
It
actually becomes a really good narrative on
exactly.
what we're doing.
You leverage also your brand that way, so it's also a new form of marketing. This is what I was talking about the AR. Like this is a new form of marketing that people are not tapping into. This is very new, of course. Yeah. But this is something that a lot of businesses have heavily invested in recently. Like you have a lot of big companies like Nike, for example, they issued 7 new patents for their digital assets. This means that they're going to be issuing NFTs. Yeah. So everyone wants in on the space.
What's your opinion of the impact that NFTs have on the climate?
That is the huge, like okay. I love the positive side of flexibility and like everything. You can do everything on it, but like the power usage. Okay, I have 2 points of view on this. Because we don't produce electricity in a green way, like 100% green, there's always going to be that negative impact, that carbon footprint to it, especially that it uses up so much power. Like seriously, like every NFT issued consumes a bit of power. So since there's a lot on there now, this is huge. But on the other hand, if we manage, and we're on our way, there's a roadmap there, like with the Paris Agreement, to produce green energy, then it won't have such a carbon footprint. So it's debatable, depends on where, it's this and that.
Hey, leave the ozone layer alone, please. Thank you.
So for now, yeah, definitely a negative impact, I'm gonna say. But on the long run, should our energy production improve within the green space, solar, hydroelectric, stuff like that, definitely, like it could be, but it's gonna make a better impact.
There's hope.
And also, last thing I want to mention, that in my opinion, the true impact of the metaverse is not going to be in the virtual world. Virtual world is going to be fun. But the real world, it's going to be in the real world, in AR. Like Niantic, they're making a game where you can mine bitcoins, but it's through a game. But this is like this is a basic level. This is entertainment. You can create experiences in AR. Like for example, like League of Legends now, they have the character selection. So you see the champion next to the players in front of the stage. This is basic, but this is going to be daily life later on. You can look at the ads, you can look at experiences, you can attend the concert and it's going to blow your mind, for example. You can co-work, you can have people present, but they're not actually there, like holograms. So it's going to have a huge impact on our day-to-day. I definitely see that. That's not going to be purely NFT, that's going to be more metaverse. And Web 3.0. Which is the big umbrella over metaverse.
Oh, brilliant.
That's quite.
I'm going to make a phone call to you soon.
Sure. Sure.
More to do with.
Backstage business plans already in
Yeah,
action.
absolutely, absolutely. Okay, guys.
Out of curiosity, as a teacher or an ex-teacher, as you said, uh, I don't want to disappoint. As an ex-teacher, is there any sort of thing if you were a teacher in the current age and you had control over all the schooling and all that? What is one of the plans you would have added that would have made a huge impact?
I think the plan from a teaching perspective will always be to be honestly to keep up with tech. It's it. We've got I know of colleges teaching Windows 8. I know of colleges using the old Sony A6s. I know of colleges. So we know that there's funding that's out there. And as soon as we keep up with that level of tech, we need to still direct. We're adults for a reason, and we need to direct our children for for the future. Okay, but what I would most certainly do is realize that the way that the future moves, uh, we have to always look from the past, as it were. If something has impacted us pretty negatively, you don't want to repeat that. So we learn in the future, and if something's pretty positive from the past, we can actually, move that forward, as it were. And we all talk about education. We all know where the failings are.
Mhm.
So I would probably remove mid-management and politics from teaching, and I would certainly have that sort of more centralized aspect. Schools shouldn't be profitable
Mhm.
for a start. Absolutely not. What is universities doing with 20, 30 million in their bank account? Which is
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
what happens, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. We,
And what we want to do is to be able to embody smaller types of academies that can come up and really have that sort of one-to-one style tuition, as it were. So
exactly.
we should have more of a mentor program brought into schools. Imagine how good you guys would be talking to these individuals about NFTs, for
Exactly.
example, when you know
Exactly.
where it all goes. Yeah. Do
Exactly.
you think there's a teacher teaching in secondary school about any of
No.
this?
Nope.
No. No.
Just nope. Social studies, geography, history, and all that blabber, and we end up saying, "What is going on?"
Yeah.
So I would change things by
Yeah.
bringing mentors into the classroom, and I would mentor and bring entrepreneurs and businessmen, and I wouldn't just have us having talks. I would actually having, practical expand. You can only
Exactly.
do that by embodying the smaller academies. So let's
Exactly.
fund smaller academies. That might thin out the schools a little bit as well. Therefore, you haven't got 30 to 40 children in a classroom,
Mhm.
and we can teach. Teachers
It's
can teach.
dedicated. Exactly. Like there's a mindset or a framework called an
Yeah.
agile framework. You've heard of it.
Yes. Yeah.
So for example, agility tells you that teams, teams should be the size of people who can eat two pizzas, which is, I don't know, people can eat a whole pizza, but you get the gist. You get the gist. They should be like 10 people generally, or something like 5 to 10 people. So this comes in handy when with education as well. Like you can create uh, an immersive experience for the students by creating these small teams, because it facilitates communication. You're not in a class of, let's say, 30 people, and then you have to sit in the back and you can't voice your opinion on the subject, or you can't ask a question. Communication will be encouraged in this space, and this is something that I do have in mind. For example, if you want to make, specifically in the esports scene, if you want to teach people how to get in the scene as a career, you can put someone who's aspiring to be a player with someone who's aspiring to be a coach with someone who's aspiring to be an analyst, for example. These three, and they can work together, of course, with the guidance of someone who's actually done it, someone who's experienced. They can use them as mentors, but they put them in that space together, and they can plan their games, uh, practice tournaments, schedule scrims, write the notes, go over the notes. It gives them the real life experience, so that when they are out of the academy, they're actually grounded. No one can tell them, you don't know this. No, like I did it,
Granted. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And what you're doing is you're setting them up for
For
success.
success, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, and why would we never do that? You know, and it's only by doing this, by talking, by getting out to the masses. You know, for me, I only recently decided that LinkedIn was the way for me. You know, I thought it was the dark side because I just fed up. You know, LinkedIn is usually full of false promises and people that are not necessarily honest about, say, for example, their capability and their education, etc.
Mhm.
But it is about connection. So if we connect and we talk and we when you're looking at sales, for example, of old it would be a pitch. Give me your sales pitch. I think we should just take people for a walk now.
Exactly. Treat people like people. Just treat
Yeah,
people
I
like
agree.
people. It's not just it's. This also creates the relationship. Like from a selling perspective, even if you are friends with someone, this also creates a healthy business relationship
Yeah, for sure.
as well. Like you can talk honestly about what you need as a business or what you need as to start things up or to do a service or to whatever, and you can reach a common ground more than having this. Okay, I need like a competitive mindset, which comes from fear more than anything else. So you're also holding back, and you're not gonna, in my opinion, land as many uh, sales if we're talking business here through this approach.
You're
Being
correct.
warm and being genuine to people always
Yeah.
helps.
And you've got to know your stuff. See,
Exactly.
you must
Exactly.
know your stuff.
Exactly. What to leverage.
Yeah, and that's it. And if your level is, entry level,
Yeah.
then please, navigate your way through to the mid tier,
Yeah.
as it were. And
Yeah.
that takes discipline, it takes time and dedication. And when we look at esports and these guys, they're so good,
Mm.
and they've given it huge amount of dedication. And when we look towards sport, it's fine to be in a swimming pool at 6 o'clock in the morning doing 3,000 lengths to try and get to the Olympics, but it's not so okay to sit on your computer to do exactly the same when you're actually probably going to get a greater result from
Exactly.
being involved in esports
Exactly.
than you are swimming 3,000 lengths. I'm not saying don't do 3,000 lengths, that's fine. But what I'm saying is please open your mindset
Yeah.
up.
Remove that stigma.
Let's
Mm.
make the window that a little bit bigger. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Exactly. Of course, and like with the future now, like with technology always advancing, there's gonna be new opportunities everywhere. Like you can't always. You need to have that flexibility of and the like to understand that okay, this worked and this is good, but this can also be improved in the future. Like lessons learned are good, but there's also going to be something new, something weird, like what we talked about, like the metaverse, for example,
Yeah.
or new practices, or like even new positions at work, like that people will be filling. If we're talking about a new generation, people in school right now might be working something completely new in 5 years,
Oh,
and
of
it's
course.
and it's definitely possible. So yeah, it's about that flexibility. We
Excellent.
we keep going on these awesome tangents, by the way.
Yeah, but that is autism,
It's a,
and that's what we're all about at Overworld, actually.
It's the cause in the end. I mean, that's the main thing. Awareness, teaching the world all about it so they can become more understanding, and it enhances the future. It gives a person with autism more opportunities in the future, not to be, limited the way things are now or how things were worse in the past because people had no idea what it's all about.
It's just evolution.
Exactly. Question about the education. Um, I've seen on the website that there's accreditation behind the programs. Are these, for example, how do they help shape the program? For example, do they give it? Did you? Okay.
Yeah, you keep cutting out. That's all.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. Is this better?
Yes.
Okay. I need to speak to the mic.
Okay, blame
Not
the
to the
technology. It's technology's
Okay.
fault. We're innocent.
Okay. So I was asking about the accreditation. Like, how does accreditation help mold the program, and how does it enhance it? Like, I'm sure that it's a set standard that you get to work in. But yeah, tell us about
Okay, well,
your
it's
experience.
credibility, to be fair.
Of
So
course.
what we have to do, is to teach to a certain standard and a certain level.
Mm.
And when we actually look towards the institutions about the certifications, they have a grounding on how we teach, as it were. How do we get to the destination? And as we've just spoken about, we tangent. That's what happens. So when we go with accredited courses, and we are accredited to 3 institutions. So we chose ASDAN because it's certifications rather than qualifications. So we can write those courses. So we write ASDAN courses, and that really is for mainly autistic individuals. Okay. We can't, we do the baby steps. If we need to write a small course of self-confidence, we could write that, as it were, and they would achieve that certification and move on and move on and move on. Nice. And then we go with AQA, which enables us to deliver maths and English. So of course we have to be able to deliver to that standard. And then AIM, which is of course the degree courses. So we have that 3-tiered explanations. Again, what we do is low tier, mid tier, top tier.
And the top tier, you get.
And I just think it's the same thing. I'm going to be able to prove to you guys when I have a qualification that I have dedicated some time to being able to look at the theory. I can say I can absorb information. And then once I have that, and then with Overworld, one of the things that I truly believe, that we do differently than any other company out there is we have educational academy connected to the company where you can actually do practical experience almost. So you're mixing an accreditation with practical experience. So you can get your accreditation, certification, and you can also create your own show reel. So what you're doing in that period of time is mixing it both. So you're looking at 12 to 16 hours of education mixed with 12 to 16 hours of practical experience. So now you get your show reel. So now you have both. And at a young age, that is going to give you the head start. It's going to give you that little nudge that you might need in front. So when you're in that interview process,
you can showcase that. You can showcase that. Yeah, exactly. Like when they ask about, okay, so what have you done? I've done this. Like it's hard. It's hard, concrete evidence that you can show.
Like I can do it. There you go. There's the proof.
Exactly.
Yeah. And if you're questioned about the academic side of it, depending, of course, what position you've gone for,
you have accreditation.
You have that backup.
Exactly. Yeah. And I love that.
That's what we do.
I love the phases that you can get individual skills. I'm talking like level 1, and then you can escalate that if you wish to pursue that career. Like it comes from a space of self-awareness. It's really it's like a make your own career. And you get the skills that you want.
That meant that because we are small and we're agile, we can write those courses. So as soon as something develops, we can switch with off-qual and whether Ofsted are going to pop in and see what we're doing. We can write those courses that keep up with the industry. We've written the first level 3 esports and event management blended learning. So we do it online, and we did that because of COVID.
Yeah. See, that is an opportunity from a tough situation.
Yes.
Let's call it
flexibility and adaptability.
Yeah. Which is the principle of agile. Like you're being like adaptability, especially these days in the business world, is an extremely essential skill. Like, and I think this is why small companies, as you said, will thrive compared to bigger companies. Bigger companies have the budget. Sure.
Yeah, we could do with a bigger budget.
Of course. we
Here we go again, money.
Of course, but definitely on an operational level, you can operate. Decision making is not bottlenecked at the top. You don't have that hierarchy where I need like 2 months to make a decision and it's a small decision. Like you know what I mean. So yeah.
And that's what stifles. And what we can do
stifles growth.
We can fail fast.
Exactly. Exactly.
And that's important as well.
Exactly.
So what we're teaching as well is that, any entrepreneur fails all the time. But we want to fail fast. We don't want to work 6 to 8 months on a project that fails. We want to work 6 to 8 days. And if it's going to fail, agility, let's do this back.
It's about making cracking out an MVP or like a small prototype of something, like this is what it's gonna look like. Is this good? Yeah, good. Then we iterate on that, and then we keep adding layers. It's like a cake.
Absolutely.
Food.
Yeah, layer cake.
Yeah, like
You just had to talk about
Yeah.
food, didn't you?
yeah. Any question? Like to any subject you'd like to touch on, Nadim?
I was thinking, is it possible for someone who has autism to compete on a very high pro level against someone who doesn't have autism and manage to dominate, in your experience?
Nitro Luke, my son, wipes out the FaZe clan.
So
Nice.
he's a unique case, true. But is it possible for other people on similar condition, or is he like he's the unique case, the one of a kind type person?
Not at all. We have a guy that runs Rocket League. We have Smash Brothers, and we have Apex. So we have all
Nice.
those guys that are top of the tree
Nice.
that have failed in the educational department. Totally failed education. They see things differently. They
Yeah.
hear things differently. They like Luke, for example. You know, it's and I can talk because I've seen
Yes,
it.
yes,
You know,
yeah.
it's firsthand. He's able to manipulate his way around the map, and Luke will see running lines. That's what Luke sees. When he plays Call of Duty, he sees running lines. He'll tell you he sees red tracing running lines, as it were.
Oh, okay. So he can identify patterns, for example, better, so that will give him an edge.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
exactly what he does. Now, imagine being able to see patterns at a split second,
Yeah,
as it were, and predict. It doesn't always work, of course not. But
yeah.
you know, he will say that certain players are very predictable,
True.
as it were.
He studies
when
their
Luke
pattern.
studies the pattern all the time, but he can study it quickly, as it were. You know, like Call of Duty right now, there's one or two hackers in the game, as it were, and one or two, like maybe 80% are hacking. They hunt the hackers. That's what they do. They go and
Oh.
hunt down the hackers, and it's you know, you're up against it, as it were, playing against hackers. But because he says they're predictable, they'll do something unpredictable that
Exactly.
you know,
That gets them an
up,
edge.
as it were.
Exactly.
Yeah. And because he's a streamer, he comes out with certain elements of content. But he's a bit like Marmite. You either love him or you hate him because he's got this. Or he'll talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. You know.
Yeah.
And of course, one of the things that I found with autistic individuals, they do not cheat.
Yeah.
They will not cheat. They don't cheat. They don't steal.
True.
Excellent employees.
They're honest and honorable people, then,
Absolutely.
without any doubt.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, sometimes a little too truthful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in this world, being too nice tends to be, and too honest and too kind, like too much of anything tends to be a bad thing, I suppose, if you're going to think on over extremities.
That's the vulnerability of autism, unfortunately, is that they can be pushed into being a victim, as it were. You know, it's this go back to the social status, as it were, the way that they interact socially. We call individuals mainstream, and they will be taken advantage of sometimes by mainstream individuals because they are just so literal, as it were. And when I say honest, you know, they're very direct and sometimes can come across as rude. I don't see that anymore because I've been, of course, you know, for many years we've been around and we've created that safe haven from within. But we still have to pull individuals, especially children, on certain parts of their behaviour. You know, well, that's our job. You know,
Exactly.
that's what we do. If they're doing something wrong, we tell them they're doing something wrong. But certainly, I think autism is a superpower
Exactly.
in gaming.
Which is why we said in the beginning, what's the origin story of the superhero?
The superhero origin story.
Exactly.
Yeah, they can even do superhero landing, so that's really cool.
Exactly, like that 3-point landing is so cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I want to ask about production, specifically like how does production scale? Again, like not talking just from a budget perspective, but how does production start off, for example, if you want to do like a budget production, and how does it scale to see something like those mainstream? I'm sorry if I'm speaking.
It's okay.
Yeah, if you want to see these mainstream like tournaments, how does that scale up, for example?
So we wanted to base ours and begin with a community-based tournament aspect to this.
Yeah.
And we've generated tournaments, but what we do is we are, again, one of the only company that live broadcast. So we don't just organize a tournament, we live broadcast. We have API systems that are inbuilt. And we were lucky enough to, in the lockdown, to have BT Sports come in and fit our broadcast center. So we're able to, switch between streamers, etc. And that's been recognized, but we've not pushed the narrative too much. Because we feel as though we can't just take people's money, we've got to learn, be a little bit more professional from the shoutcasting perspective. We've got to bring in different camera angles. We've got to put on more of a show, as it were. And of course, what we're doing, we have one part-time broadcast engineer, and they're teaching, of course, the people that wish to be broadcast engineers. So at some point, we'll get to mid-tier broadcasting.
Exactly, because you do have the infrastructure for it.
Yeah, and we've started off with the lower tier tournaments. We've had a couple of decent £5,000 tournaments that have happened.
Congrats.
That was sponsored by eBuyer.
Yeah.
And what they want is they want the logo of every streamer to connect. But one of the most beautiful things that we've done recently is I've acted like Alan Sugar, basically. So we've had a group of streamers that we've been working with on a network for around 5 weeks now. So it was very new. We have 28 streamers. They want to grow. They want to learn how to grow, how to connect, etc. And tonight we have the red v blue final.
Yeah.
Luke's the wild card, Victator, Hitman Gaming is in on there, and they nearly snared Stone Mountain come in and play tonight.
Okay.
It's not quite big enough for Stone Mountain. Luke's played with Stone Mountain numerous times, so they've got quite good streamers. What they've done is they have created wonderful advertising marketing capability. I think we've got something like 140 teams in this evening, so people are really liking it.
Nice.
And this has been organized because we've generated them a platform. It isn't all about money.
Exactly, it's about value. It's all about value. Like not just also from a business perspective, value as in like something of worth to people, entertainment, education. This is how this is how you, if I'm gonna be very like businessy, this is how you win people over. But it is what it is, because no one's gonna buy something from you if you're just gonna sell, if you just want to sell them. You want to give them something that they're gonna need.
There has to be a reason.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
Exactly. It is about value.
You have, so when we look at marketing, all we know, we get so many offers of sponsorship for Luke. The reason being 824,000 followers. Okay, so
that's good.
He's desirable. He's sponsorable. So we've currently okayed that we have sponsorships from Huel, because we like Huel because it's the right drink. We don't like energy drinks. We won't promote energy drinks at Overworld, but Huel works for us because it's got that convenience aspect whilst being a food source. So it works again for children that haven't eaten that come here.
Exactly.
Love Hemp is another one, CBD oil that resonates with the streamer community.
Yeah.
A few others. There's no point in me mentioning it because I'm not going to give them free advertising. So they're going to pay me if they want to do that. But my point being is that how do we make all of the smaller streamers marketable? Because no one's going to drop them an advertising sponsorship on for concurrent viewers.
Exactly.
But 140 teams together with an average of 4 to 5 concurrent viewers under the Overworld banner. Now that's advertisable.
Exactly.
So my next stage is to go to brands, and they will hopefully, over the next few weeks and few months, we build this up, which creates the value and the reward. What will happen is the brands will, of course, say to Overworld, we're going to drop you a sum of money, and then we distribute that to the streamers that have been effective from within the marketing campaign. So the reward principle is in there, because now the concurrent viewers under Overworld can be thousands rather than the 7 viewers.
Exactly.
And one of the things that streamers, YouTubers, etc., have never ever understood is the fact that they're stronger in a bundle.
I wanted
They
to say
need to
strength
be
and
together.
numbers. Strength and numbers.
Strength in numbers, always.
Exactly.
But they
Like,
don't realize it. They don't realize it. They're too window
exactly.
orientated.
You sit in your bubble and then you think that, okay, if I keep producing, it is a formula. You keep producing content and then you get there through. But a lot of the big YouTube channels and of course the streamers as well, because it's a formula that crosses over, have done really well with collaborating. Like in gaming, stuff like PewDiePie, Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, stuff like that. Offline TV, for example, does huge collaborations. Mr. Beast.
Yeah, he's done well.
Like, yeah, it's super. Yeah, right? Like 100 million on that video. Like
Phenomenal.
wow, like seriously, like 8 million in like a few minutes, or like in a. That's insane. That's insane.
Yeah.
Out of this world for sure.
Exactly. So yeah, definitely it is about
we could do with Mr. Beast in tonight. That would help.
Wouldn't we? Wouldn't we all?
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, it is about strength in numbers, and it's about building that community.
And that's what we do. And we have a proven, it's not
Track
just a
record.
concept.
It's a track
We
record.
prove that we do it. Yeah.
Exactly, because that gives people trust in you, like you can execute.
I know. And in 10 minutes, I'm about to run that tournament, so I'm running out of time.
Okay, so
I apologize for taking too much of your time. I mean, we're enjoying this.
Okay. Never have to apologize.
We're enjoying this too much. What can we do?
Really.
if you want to close out in 10 minutes, should we? If you wanna have some points.
Yeah, if there's any parting words you want to share for all of us, all the people who are watching, any words of wisdom, fortune cookies, anything, please.
Well, I think if I end it on, through trials and tribulations at Overworld, we've created an environment which enhance ability. Or while I've said, striving to be the best representation of yourself. And when we talk about strength in numbers, I truly believe that together, it's a bit cheesy, but together we can illuminate the whole earth. And it's
Let's go.
It's that simple.
Absolutely true.
Absolutely.
I think that's pretty much my cheesy parting. But I believe it. I do believe it.
Yeah.
Still effective. Cheesy, but effective.
Cheesy always
Very
wins.
cheesy, definitely.
Cheesy always wins.
Well, thank you guys.
Thank you so
Really
much.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It was truly a pleasure.
Honestly,
Thank
we
you.
loved having you.
We'd love to have you for future more interviews, hopefully.
No
Yeah.
problem. Maybe you can interview Luke next time.
Absolutely, we would not say no to that. And shout out to Luke for being a beacon of hope for all this, of course.
Exactly.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Take care.
And
Peace and love.
peace and
Peace
love.
and
Good
love
luck
to
on
you
your
too.
tournament.
Good luck in the tournament.
Take care.
Take care.
Guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Goodbye. And this concludes.
And that concludes
That's
for the Backstage Esports episode 4. This is Nadim and Jamil wishing you all a happy day and hope you enjoyed yourself.
See you.
Ta-da!